Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
If I'm not mistaken, you broke the story this morning. The NHL and the Players Association have mutually agreed not to send the players to Beijing. What's the reaction been like to that story?
Well, I think the reaction from players is one of disappointment. I mean, you think back to the last best on best tournament that's been played for NHL players. It's the 2016 World Cup of Hockey. And back then we had Austin Matthews and Connor McDavid playing for Team North America. They haven't yet had a chance to really represent their country in a true best on best tournament among NHL players. And that's a shame for all of us. So there was definitely some disappointment. The players have been resigned to this fact, watching these things unfold over the last week, Rod. And now it's just a matter of time until we hear the official announcement that comes after the NHL and the PA jointly notify the IOC that they have plans to pull out from participating in the Olympics this year. So certainly disappointing news for all involved, perhaps maybe even in some ways, except for the NHL. They had made it clear what they wanted to see from this season. They did not want to send players to the Olympics. I don't think this is a moment, though, where the NHL is dancing around saying, ha, we told you so, or we're glad that you're not going. I think they understand the disappointment from the player side as well.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
By a large margin, the Toronto Maple Leafs are voted the most annoying fan base in the National Hockey League, and frankly, I must agree. Sure, I like them. They're just highly annoying. Leafs fans don't even know that they're that annoying, which makes them the most annoying. Don't be fooled by the Calgary Flames, okay, at the bottom of the list, because this is only like 17, 18 teams. There's like 14 other teams behind them.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes, it is. And hello, good morning, and good afternoon to Eastern Canada. Welcome to the Rod Pedersen Show. Yes, we're not in our normal environs, but we're still doing our show from the high school and the hometowns today. Rod is officially on Christmas break. He's actually in the sun, and he's going to enjoy the rest of his holidays. So Darren Dupont here. We're going to be joined by guests over the next couple of days. Enjoy that. Justin Dunk will be along here in just a moment. He's going to be alongside today. Throughout the program. And then we're going to be joined by TSN's NHL analyst, Dave Poulin. And we're going to be joined by Sportsnet's Arash Madani coming up a little later on in hour two. Tomorrow is going to be fun, too. More guests, and Darren Bombing from Winnipeg and Bonfire Sports will be down to co-host tomorrow's show. So that will get you set for the next couple of days. And, of course, Friday is our annual World Junior Preview Special. Rod will be back. Peter Labardius, Julie Robenheimer will be alongside, and then special guests. Alan Miller will be here. Michael Dick, the assistant coach from Hockey Canada. So will be a lot of fun over the next few days as we get you set for Christmas. But let's bring in Justin Dunk. From my hometown to his hometown in Guelph. That's the parents' farm, right?
That's right, buddy. Rural Guelph, Ontario, buddy. Officially Guelph Nickel Township. I dig it.
Okay, I like it. And we're in the chicken capital of Canada. I don't know if you knew that. Wynyard, Saskatchewan.
I did not.
In the high school gym. Yeah, the chicken capital. We had these things called the chicken chariot races every summer, where you put chickens in these cages and you bang on and you race chickens with little chariots behind them. Pretty awesome. So anyways, we're here for the holidays in the gym. What I love about it too is, like, as a kid, you always wanted to be in the gym and have like free gym time, right? Like being here when nobody else is. So, like, I'll probably stay all afternoon and shoot hoops and, like, mess around. So it's going to be cool. But, yeah, looking forward to that. So, how have you been? I mean, what's your current day-to-day like, Justin, now that the CFL is done? Do you get a little bit of a post-CFL break? Because the news cycle at 3 Down doesn't ever slow down.
It doesn't, buddy. I'm doing well in general. I mean, I miss doing the Canada West games with you, of course, but nice to connect with you virtually for the show. And honestly, the off season in the CFL in terms of 3 Down Nation becomes busier in the regular season. I don't think some people can quite comprehend how or why, but things like we've seen this week, Sean Burke being hired as a general manager in Ottawa, you're tracking those situations. And then, of course, Chris Jones being the guy that's been tabbed to lead Edmonton as the head coach and general manager, and you're getting the inside scoop. So you're talking to a lot of people from coast to coast in all different time zones to make sure that you can deliver the best insight possible on 3 Down Nation. And of course, when I come on the show with you guys.
Yeah, we're going to get into that too. We want to talk, get your thoughts on how this Chris Jones situation came to be. We'll talk about Sean Burke. We'll talk about some other moves that may happen. We'll get into the little preview of CFL offseason and give the CFL fans today a little bit of a early Christmas present in terms of coverage and what they can expect throughout the year and maybe what their teams are looking at. I know you guys had a great list out about the one free agent that everybody is or should be prepared to lose. I think it was something like that, right? That's a great article. I want to get into that because there's a couple of players and there's going to be some fan bases a little bit upset. So I love it. And then Rod put out one player from each team that they need to re-sign right away. Their top priorities. So that'll be really cool. We'll get into Tuesday's NFL games to put a wrap on Week 15 in the National Football League last night. Doubleheader, rare Tuesday kind of doubleheader there. So we'll get into that. We'll talk about the NHL COVID lockdown as well. And of course, Arash Madani, Dave Poulin are coming up later on in the program. So let's go to NFL Tuesday, Justin. And let's start with Washington, Philadelphia. Again, tough game. I mean, the Eagles win 27-17. Jalen Hurts has 3 TDs. Is Jalen Hurts legitimately a long-term franchise option at quarterback for the Eagles?
Dude, it seems like he shows these flashes of it, but then he regresses, and it depends on the week. So you can see it in a game like last night shows the potential there. And with Nick Sirianni, the head coach, seemingly liking Hurts and his playing style and has really tailored the offense to Hurts in terms of the RPO, the run-pass options that he has, and then also using his skill set to get him out on the move and drafting a guy like Devonta Smith to be a number 1 receiver with him, who he was familiar with from Alabama. So I think that the potential is there for Hurts to be a franchise guy, but we need to see him be more consistent, right? You see it from the elite guys, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. Obviously, they have Super Bowl titles and multiple MVPs, but those guys, they don't really have poor weeks. Yes, Brady was shut out for the first time, I think, in his career over the weekend, but still, that's an ultra rarity. So if Hurts can become more consistent, then yeah, he can be a guy that you can build around Philly.
Washington's an interesting group because now they're falling a little bit behind, but they're a group that's dangerous. But they got to play. They were calling him the COVID quarterback last night, at least around the guys and girls that I was watching the game with. And like that's what Cleveland was dealing with too. Like, is Washington a team that should be upset about protocols, or just a team that had an opportunity last night and couldn't get it done?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the world we're living in, right, buddy? We're all experiencing with this virus and the variants and Omicron, and who knows what's going to come at us next. So the fact that you have to start a guy like Garrett Gilbert is just what happens now in the NFL. At least they weren't like the Denver Broncos last year, where they had to start a receiver, Kendall Hinton, at quarterback and activate him off the practice roster. If they had a legit dude that's played quarterback, and oh, by the way, Gilbert in the past has been on the Saskatchewan Roughriders negotiation list. So for anyone monitoring that situation and maybe wanting a guy to come in and compete with Cody Fajardo and push him a little bit. I know there's been some talk around Regina and the Wheat Province about that. Then you get a little bit of a look at Gilbert here.
Biggest stat last night, Philadelphia 238 yards on the ground, Washington 63. So that will hurt you. And that's a little bit of the scenario that's, facing the Seattle Seahawks right now. Russell Wilson completed just 17 passes last night. They failed to get over 100 yards rushing in the football game, 80 yards for the Seahawks in the loss. So we got a lot of Seahawks fans that watch this show. Brady texts in all the time. And we'll get to your text messages, 902-518-3033. Text the show. And I'm sure there's a text in there from Brady that I'll have to go in and look at. He'll be upset. He'll have thoughts on his Seattle Seahawks. But is it the coach? Is it Russ? Is it, we have this Seattle nostalgia that they should be good, but they're really not? Or what's going on in Seattle? Because right now, 150 yards, 17 completions, and 80 yards rushing is not going to win football game.
Agreed. Before we get into the analysis, so where's the text jingle? Man, I was waiting for it. I thought you were teasing it.
Can we tee that up for Justin coming up in a bit? Is that something we can do? Okay, Justin, it's ready. So hang tight. Let's talk Seahawks, and then we'll get you the text jingle.
All right. So in terms of the Seahawks, you mentioned, is it Pete Carroll? Is it Russell Wilson? In my mind, this was a doomed season from the jump when they decided not to trade Russell Wilson and they were going to go forward, even though he was clearly disgruntled. That was never going to work. You know, we watched the Winnipeg Blue Bombers win back-to-back Grey Cups. And what do they talk about, Dupes? The culture that Mike O'Shea has set. Well, the culture that Carroll had set in the past was obviously one that worked for them, but that has been eroded to the point where you can tell the relationship is at its end. Like, it's time to divorce. It's 1 year too late. It's sort of when you're with your girlfriend and you're hesitant to break up with her because you're hoping maybe it'll work and you want to hold out hope, but you know that it's probably the end and you kind of wait those 6 extra months. So in my mind, that's what cost the Seahawks this season, is they didn't have that hard stop, end the relationship, trade Wilson out of town, and move on to the next regime in terms of what you're going to do at quarterback. And maybe that means the end of Pete Carroll. We got to remember, he's getting old too. He's still got lots of energy. But in my mind, the Seahawks season was just going to be a failed one from the get-go.
I can relate to Seahawks fans here, Justin, because Tennessee, the Titans, went through this situation a number of years ago. And it was Jeff Fisher on one side, it was Vince Young on the other side, and it was Bud Adams in the middle, right, pulling the strings. And he had to choose. Am I choosing the coach? Am I choosing the quarterback? And everybody talked about Vince Young's numbers, how he doesn't have the mechanics, how his throwing, numbers aren't quite what they need to be to win at this level. But all he did was win games, engineer fourth quarter comebacks. He led the team. He won games, W's. You got it. And it wasn't pretty. Now, we know he was in a good system that worked for him, and he didn't have the success translated, when he went to Philadelphia or he moved around the National Football League. But Bud Adams ultimately chose Jeff Fisher, and it didn't work out. Are the Seahawks in a position where they have to choose Pete Carroll or Russell Wilson, or is there a scenario where they need to get rid of both guys?
That's a great comparison, my man. And I think they're at that point. That's not to say that Pete Carroll can't coach at a high level anymore, but it seems like Wilson doesn't want to be there with him. And that's reading the tea leaves and him talking about wanting a trade. So we need to find out if that has to do with Carroll or the general manager, John Schneider, because it was pretty clear at the end of last season that Wilson wanted to be protected better. And they didn't really invest in the offensive line. Now, it played out well for Pierre-Olivier Lestage, a Canadian offensive lineman out of the University of Montreal, who's on their practice roster now because they didn't really draft a lot of dudes at that position. But you got to protect your asset, right? Like, Dupes, in business or anything else, the most coveted asset that you have, you need to surround it and make sure that whatever it is protected in the best possible way. So in my mind, they didn't do that with Wilson, and that's why this is coming to a head. And in my mind, it's ultimately going to result in a divorce. It seems to me a little bit too like Wilson wants to be in a different market, one of the bigger markets, quote. Like, yes, he's won a Super Bowl with Seattle. He's been there for so long that it seems like to me he wants a change of scenery. Like, not exactly like LeBron James going to Miami or Los Angeles, but something very similar.
So if you're thinking of bigger markets for Russell Wilson, what's that market? Because LA has their quarterback, right? Both LA teams have their quarterback in Justin Herbert and Matt Stafford. Dallas has their quarterback, I think, in Dak, and I think they're committed to him long term, but you're not really sure. Tampa's got their guy, Tom, for how long? You look at the big markets, and where does Aaron Rodgers fit into all this? But is Houston as one of the bigger markets in the NFL, is that a fit for Russell? Because I haven't heard that a lot, but maybe that's something that's not being discussed that should be.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as big of a market as I think Russell Wilson would want to go to. We've got to remember who he's married to, right? Sierra. She's about big-time, prime-time stage. So where my mind goes when I think of markets, you mentioned it. The LA teams have their quarterbacks right now. It's New York. And I know the Giants recently drafted Daniel Jones, but he's not really looking like a franchise guy. He's been there for 3 years already. Can you imagine? It's already been 3 years since Jones has been in New York and fallen on his face. And then you look at the other team in the Jets, and yes, they used a high pick on Zach Wilson, but you kind of get the sense there that if we're starting some of these other guys over him that they drafted behind him, how much trust do they have in him? So I would want to see Wilson get more of a chance. But I'm talking about NYG, the New York Giants, I could see as a place where Wilson would want to go. Now, another spot that would make a lot of sense is Chicago, a huge market. They have Justin Fields there, who is kind of, sort of a young Russell Wilson. I mean, he's got a long way to go in terms of winning a Super Bowl and being a perennial Pro Bowl quarterback or all-pro quarterback like Wilson. But that would be another massive market that you would think that Wilson would potentially covet.
Finally, last kind of NFL thought right now, and we'll get into more and we'll look ahead to week 16 in the National Football League. But you look at what happened in week 15. The Patriots lost. The Cardinals lost. The Bucs lost. 3 teams all in my top 5 a week ago. And because of this weird season or this weird COVID week, I didn't do a top 5. So think about this, because coming up later on, I want to get your top 5 in the NFL as of today. But of those 3 teams that lost last week, that they're all in my top 5, Tampa, Arizona, and New England, who are you most worried about? Which loss was for real?
The loss that worried me the most, honestly, was the Cardinals' loss. And Kyler Murray stating that, hey, this isn't the team like last year. So that shows me that they're thinking, at least somewhere in their mind, about the collapse that they had a year ago. And that worries me. Right? I like the guys that are strong mentally and are focused on what's next, what's to come, what's in the future, not even thinking about comparing it to the collapse that they had a year ago. So for my money, it's that Lions upset victory over the Cardinals that has me really worried about that team in Zona.
Yeah, I mean, just something about you when you watch the Arizona Cardinals, you're not as convinced watching that team as when you watch the Green Bay Packers. There's a definite 1 and 2 there, right, in the NFC. And it just feels like when Aaron Rodgers has the football, you're a little more confident that he's going to go down the field and engineer something with Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. Today, it feels like I'm going to stay and watch because he might make something magical happen, but I'm not really scared as a defense that it's just automatic that Arizona's going to win. I'm a little nervous about the Cardinals. I'm with you on that for sure. Hey, get your texts in for Justin Dunk. We're going to go deep on the CFL next after the break. So get your texts in 902-518-3033. Jim Wagner wrote in, Justin, on the text line. He says, it's the Dunk and Dupes show. Sounds like fun or a cheesy cop show. Thanks, guys.
How about that?
Could be both.
The Dunk and Dupes show. Yeah, it could be both. I can see it. Or the name of our coffee and donut shop. Something like that. Also coming up this hour, Dave Poulin from TSN. We'll get into the NHL's plans moving forward and what he sees there. We're also going to talk about hockey at the Olympics, and that's our poll question. And we'll leave you with this heading into the break. Our poll question for Capital Automall Universal Collision Center is this: will you be watching the Olympic hockey tournament with no NHL players? Will you be watching? Vote now. It's on Twitter, here on YouTube as well. And we'll get to your results. We'll talk about that, but we'll get into the CFL next. This is the Rod Pedersen Show on a pre-Christmas show. Rod on vacation as Christmas holidays have started early, and we'll be back with more with Justin Dunk here in a moment. You're watching on Game Plus TV, YouTube Live, and listen live, 24-hour sports radio at rodpedersen.com.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Addiction. It destroys relationships, families, and lives. It makes individuals and the people who love them feel powerless. But the good news is that addiction is a treatable illness. At Aurora Recovery Center, we provide everything you need to build a solid foundation for your recovery, with holistic, evidence-based treatment tailored to each individual. Located in Gimli, Manitoba, on the shores of Lake Winnipeg, Aurora can help regardless of whether or not you feel ready or have tried before. Aurora Recovery Center. Recovery for life. Visit aurorarecoverycenter.com for more information today.
Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar buying group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
In the heat of the summer, familiar sounds, feeling the air, it's the best thing anywhere. Just give me back my game. 'Cause I live for the drama, I live for the emotion. No one can take me down, bring me back my football.
BetRegal.net, exclusive sports gaming partner of the CFL.
Comfort has always been something we, as people, strive for. It means that the places we live and work, and that the people we care most about, are able to go about their lives focusing on the things that matter. Our focus at FlameTech has remained the same for more than 20 years. Now more than ever, we need each other to support our local businesses. As an industry leader in combustion services, we are proud to attend to the needs of our communities and support the local economy.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Christmas Eve, Friday, our World Junior Preview Show. Rod will be back. Peter Labardius, Julie Robenheimer. We'll have members from Hockey Canada. It's at our regular time, the show. YouTube, Game Plus, noon Eastern, all across the network. So enjoy that, our World Junior Preview shows. We get you set for the World Juniors. World Juniors announcing 50% capacity. We're hearing that for Edmonton and Red Deer, but the games will go on. So that's exciting. We'll find out if there's more happening as the news continues to break, and we'll get TSN analyst Dave Poulin's thoughts on that in a moment. But we bring back Justin Dunk as we head into the break. It was our poll question for Capital Automall Universal Collision Center. Our poll question is, with no NHL players going to the Olympics, will you be watching the Olympic hockey tournament? I don't have the results in front of me. Do we have YouTube results, Clark, on the poll question? 56% say yes, they'll still watch. So it's having an impact. Justin, will you be watching the Olympics with no NHL participation?
I'll still check out Team Canada's games, honestly, but I won't be as dialed in, man. Like, you won't be as on the edge of your seats. We're going to see some old names, I would think, pop up. I've seen some funny posts on Twitter where people are like paging this old player to come out of retirement and play for Canada, but I don't think it's going to have the buzz. Certainly not. What about you, Duke?
Well, no, it won't have the buzz. But my concern is, if NHL players aren't going to the Olympics, what does Hockey Canada do? And what does the Canadian Olympic Committee do, if that's, who plays a role in the decision? Because they already backed out of going to the Spengler Cup. And if this continues to get worse, like, I see an Olympics with no Canada, no US. Not Canada's B team, not Canada's, amateur hockey team. I see an Olympics with no Team Canada. Do you see a path to that as a possibility?
I do, man. I really do. When you look at it at the government level, just in and of itself, right? We've heard from Joe Biden and Justin Trudeau on both sides of the border, obviously Trudeau being our prime minister, saying that they're a part of this boycott. So you would imagine that the IOC is looking at this going, hey, how much is this going to impact our revenue? And should we bump the games a year? Like, in my mind, that's the smart decision here. We saw them do it with the summer games. They were able to get those in with, a decent amount of success, I should say, in terms of the COVID case count. So in my mind, that is the clear and easy way for the IOC to potentially have the NHL players there a year from now. And ideally, it's a better COVID situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, unless Canada is looking at finding all the available hockey players in Beijing, in the area, or if, I don't anticipate them traveling a bunch of players over if they're not going to send NHL players. But again, we'll see where that goes. But I could absolutely see an NHL or an Olympics with no NHL participation. Janelle's watching on YouTube, and Janelle says, should any Olympians be going? What are your thoughts on this? Because you're an athlete, and you know a lot of Olympic athletes, and I had a chance to meet a couple of wonderful ones when I was out in BC. And we had great conversations. Look at, your peak as an athlete, the window is small, right? And you have to hope that your window of reaching your maximum potential happens to fall on the timeline of life that lines up with the leapfrogging 4 years of the Olympics. And if you miss 1 year or one window, that might be your only chance you ever get to compete at the greatest stage for athletics in the world. So the athletes don't want to miss a memory, but there is also health and safety to consider. Should any Olympians be going to Beijing?
That's a difficult part of it, man. As you mentioned, the peak. And I remember I had Donovan Bailey in an exclusive one-on-one for CHCH TV when the summer games were moved, and got his thoughts on exactly this from a sprinter perspective. How was that going to affect the preparation? How could that potentially affect who is going to win the 100 meters? He understood the decision in terms of it being the safest possible idea for the athletes to bump it a year in the summer. So you'd imagine a lot of these same discussions are going on around the winter athletes. And we talked about, Trudeau has already said that they're going to go along with this boycott. So can the Canadian Olympic Committee even be allowed to send their athletes over there without the grace of Trudeau, without him giving the go-ahead? So in my mind, from the athletic perspective, it's tricky because, you might only get one shot where you're at your absolute peak and you've trained for this moment. And yes, we're still a couple months out, but the athletes will have gone through their schedule and literally laid it out minute by minute to make sure that they peak for their event whenever it happens to be during the Olympics. So it's one thing if you're going to reset it and they can go through that process again. But we got to remember, it's not like Olympic athletes make millions of dollars either. There are a few that become stars. Kaylee Wickenheiser would certainly be one. She's on the hockey side, so it's a little different. Donovan Bailey would be a great example of that, and it's different when you win and you're the fastest man in the entire world. So they have a lot of athletes that are at the lower end of the scale in terms of the money that they get from Athletics Canada or from the CLC to be able to go to the Olympics. Like, we often focus on the medal winners, but that's not so much the case here with the entire group of athletes that you're sending over. They're literally having to make life decisions right now. And can I go another year and stretch my budget financially from a personal perspective to even be there?
Yeah. Well, the comments are rolling in on this. We've touched on something because we got a real divide here, and it showed in our poll result questions. If you'll pay attention to the Olympics without, NHL players, 55 or I think it was 56% said yes at the time. John Ohms watching and says, why are we even having an Olympics during times like this? They're crazy times. So that's crazy. Some people think we shouldn't have them. Some people think that, we should. Wayne Grollo's watching, says I'm just praying that they don't shut down everything in the next few weeks. So you got one side saying don't shut down. You got another side saying, look, this is crazy. It's just sports. It's just the Olympics. But it's bigger than that. It's not just the Olympics. I mean, This is a little more than just playing sports, is it not?
It is. The Olympics and some of the other events like it, like the World Cup or even, the Super Bowl and obviously the Stanley Cup. Those are events that in my mind cross the line in terms of from sports to news, right? If a Canadian wins a gold medal like Damian Warner, that becomes news. That led our newscast at CHGH TV when Warner won his gold medal, just like any other Canadian athlete who's been so fortunate to do so. So it's not just an event. It's not just sports at that point. It becomes much bigger than that. And that's why there's so much on the line and at stake here, and especially for the IOC in terms of the revenue. They're not going to be happy that the NHL players aren't going there because they know that's going to hit them square in the pocketbook. Now, there's people on the other side that say that the IOC are thieves and they continue to boost the amount of money that you got to pay to put the Olympics on your channel. Like, for example, what CBC would have to pay, what NBC would have to pay in the United States. So there's some people that really don't feel so sorry for the Olympics here. But the fact for me that it is that event or one of them that crosses from sports to being news and a massive story in just our country, but not even just in our country, around the world, is what differentiates the Olympics and some of the events that I named that go with it.
Yeah, and this is a topic. Christine's watching and I'll see how Rod does this, in medicine hat. It's funny. She says, Cousin Christine wants to know if Dupes will have a couch rant today, if there'll be a rant. There might be. If we get on something. There's things I'm passionate about. And one of them is this. Damian Cox, I saw this on Twitter, so I've been pulling this up. And here's what he tweeted. He said, just not bummed at all that NHL players won't be going to the authoritarian China, he has a hashtag in here, in the middle of a pandemic to perform under the auspicious, of IOC among the most corrupt sports organizations on the planet. I'm just not worried, not interested in NHL players going because of that. Well, there's other perspectives to this, right? I mean, and we're seeing that, right? It's corrupt. We should boycott the games. It's just the Olympics. Like, nobody cares. I'm over it. Doesn't matter. But the Olympics at its core is like the purest form of sport, right? It was amateurs. It's countries against countries. It's the purest form of pride and sport and unity and all of that. Now, I get it's become a money thing and it's all about power and greed. And there's all these corrupt organizations. And it's a reason why we've seen wrestling out of the Olympics and how corrupt it is and the drug problems that have been going on behind the scenes. But as a fan of sports, hi, Dave. We'll get you in a second. Dave Poulin logging in just a little bit early. Thanks, guys, for jumping on that. We'll get Justin back in here in a second. We got about 4 or 5 minutes left with Justin. But, and I don't know if Justin, he obviously won't hear this till he's logged back in. Oh, there he is. You got bumped for a second, but that's okay. That's the wonderful beauty of live television. Everybody's getting a look behind the fourth wall here. But the other side of this corrupt, I don't care if the Olympics are on, and I understand that viewpoint. The other side is, as a fan, as a kid, but even as somebody who's just a fan and it has the blinders on to all the politics that are going on, I don't care about that. I don't see that. I don't know that that's even going on. When Canada's playing hockey at the 2002 Olympics in Salt Lake City, I don't know about what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know about the corruptness. I know that I fall in love with my country. I fall in love with these players. It is the most pure thing in my heart when I'm watching the Olympics, right? Because I don't see the other side of it. Now, is that right? Is that wrong to put the blinders on? That's to be determined. But there is two sides to this. And for the athletes, they'll never get this opportunity to come back. And we'll forget about the corruptness, but we'll always remember the moment of Sidney Crosby scoring the gold medal goal, the golden goal. We'll always remember Bob Cole's iconic Joe Sakic call when Joe makes it 5-2 and you see Wayne Gretzky jumping out of his seat. We'll always remember that, right? We won't always remember about the corrupt policies and about the different things that were going on behind the scenes. Does that mean we should ignore it? Probably not, but that's the other side to this, right?
It is. And you mentioned Damian Cox there, and I have respect for him as a journalist and a reporter, and he's entitled to his opinion. But if Canada was going to the Olympics with the NHL players on their team you know what he would be writing and tweeting about? Canada playing in the Olympics with NHL players and going for that gold medal. So I understand his point, and I agree to an extent. And like you said, you presented the fan side of it, right? There is the corrupt side. There is the IOC that makes millions and billions of dollars off of these athletes who I just said have struggles at points putting food on the table, right? They're trying to make ends meet just to get there and have the chance to be a star on that stage. So in a sense, I agree with you, Dupes. It is athletics at its purest form, and we all love it because the athletes from our country are wearing the red and white and representing our country, and we get to know their stories, and they're from not only the big cities, but the small towns, and it really unites us as a country. But I think even as much as you're a fan, you need to keep the perspective that there is business and there is money at play here. And anytime you say business, I mean, you think money, you think dollars and cents. And in my mind, that's what's going on. If the IOC was willing to shell out a bunch of dough and make sure the NHL players were well taken care of, in my mind, they would be there.
Jeffrey Townend says Olympics is the purest form of sports? ? Maybe in 200 AD. He makes a good point. I mean, that's pretty funny. See, that is something that I would put up there for Taco Time comment of the week, the viewer comment of the week. That's pretty funny. So let's log that one, and maybe we'll find a way to put that in the top of the leaderboard for next week. But he's right. You can't just put blinders on and understand that this corrupt side of it isn't happening. I totally understand that. Look, I promised that we would talk CFL, but we will do that next hour, okay? So please stay tuned for next hour. But Justin, before we let you go and bring in Dave Poulin, give us a tease on the number one CFL topic that we're going to get into next hour.
Ooh, there's so many. But to me, what's going on right now, we're going to get into Dupes, who is the most coveted man in the CFL. That's the best tease I got for you. Hot and fresh.
Woo! That is unreal. Okay, the number one. Who is the most in-demand person in the CFL? We're going to find out that coming up in hour 2. And we'll get into the NHL, their temporary shutdown, and what's ahead after Christmas in the National Hockey League with TSN's Dave Poulin. We'll do that next. This is the Rod Pedersen Show here from the Wynyard Composite High School Gymnasium. This is where I grew up and went to school. Dunk is in his hometown. I'm in mine. And we'll find out where Dave Poulin is on the other side of the break. It's the Rod Pedersen Show here on the holidays on YouTube Live, Game Plus TV, and 24-hour sports radio at rodpedersen.com.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/the Rod Pedersen Show now.
Addiction. It destroys relationships, families, and lives. It makes individuals and the people who love them feel powerless. But the good news is that addiction is a treatable illness. At Aurora Recovery Center, we provide everything you need to build a solid foundation for your recovery, with holistic, evidence-based treatment tailored to each individual. Located in Gimli, Manitoba, on the shores of Lake Winnipeg, Aurora can help regardless of whether or not you feel ready or have tried before. Aurora Recovery Center. Recovery for life. Visit aurorarecoverycenter.com for more information today.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. PDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might hit your head. That could cause a traumatic brain injury that, depending on how severe it is, could take months to heal or leave you with long-term effects. Effects like getting debilitating headaches for the rest of your life. Slips, trips, and falls can have a lifetime impact. Take safer steps with WorksafeSask.ca.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Hey, Dawn.
Hey, Quinn.
We have a surprise for you.
Oh, my.
A Landmark Cinemas $30 gift card with $40 in great movie savings is the perfect gift to give. Or give to yourself. Get yours today in theater or online at landmarkcinemas.com and make it a merry movie season. Landmark Cinemas, for movie lovers.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpedersenshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpedersenshop.com.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, welcome back. My hometown, this is Wynyard, the Composite High School. They've let me have the whole run of the place here for the next 2 days. How cool is that? So it's awesome. We're rolling, and we're into the holidays here. Rod is officially on Christmas vacation. So he'll be back, though, Friday for our World Junior Preview show. So that's going to be great. Also, Justin Dunk coming up ahead in hour 2. And I promise, we'll get to your comments, and we'll talk about the CFL and the number one most coveted person in the league. That's coming up in hour 2. But let's shift gears. Let's go to Ontario, where things are looking a little different than they are here in the sweatpants capital. Dave Poulin from TSN joins us. Happy holidays, Dave.
Same to you. Good to chat. And you got a nice setup there. I love it. I love the high school gym. It looks great.
Yeah, somebody said it looked like a church gymnasium with the couch they put up on the stage and a place to hang out. So, no, it's fun. Shoot some hoops in the commercial break. And, this is pretty good. It doesn't get much better than this, right?
Yeah, it's perfect. Well, everybody's home setup has been different. And I have a couple of different ones going in the house, depending on what else is going on in the house. So you've got the full, the library, Gino Retta TH studio setup, and then you've got your podcast setups. And so they're all a little bit different. But you know what? We've made it work.
You know what? We have, and it's been great. And I know the networks have been great about making sure you guys are set up with all the gear you need. Our guys have been really great and adapting. I mean, Rod's been traveling. He wants to get out of the snow, so he's been in Florida where it's warm and sunny. And, it was funny last week. I was getting prepared to go in the studio and sit in my chair and do the show. And I wake up and it was minus 20. And I'm like, wait a second. I can do the show from home. I've got all the gear. I don't have to get out and start the car and go into the studio. And we did. It was great. So it's not so bad.
That is great. So question for you. Who tells Rod when he's on vacation? Like, how does he know that compared to what he's doing every day down in the sunshine and everything else? So I was laughing when they said he's got a couple of days off. I'm like, okay, do you have to tell him when he's got a couple of days off? Or does has he figured
How do you tell the
out?
difference?
How about
right. Like, what is the difference between what he does every day and like a holiday, like between a vacation? I know. Like, he sits on his deck with no shoes on and talks about sports for 2 hours. And now what's a holiday, right? That reminded me of Vin Scully, right? They asked Vin, when are you going to they asked Vin, when are you going to retire? He's like, I wake up and I play 9 holes with the boys, and then I come home and read the box scores and have some coffee. I go to the ballpark and I talk baseball for 3 hours, and I come home and have a tea with my wife. What would I retire to do, right? That is retirement.
Well, We're all fortunate because when your vocation is your avocation, then you're doing something right. So I've been pretty fortunate with a lifetime in hockey as well. So no complaints here.
100%. That's great. So things are different out where you are. I think you're in Ontario, right? What is the current situation with shutdowns and kind of the day-to-day? How much has it changed in the last couple of weeks?
Well, it seems to be changing every day. So we're at 50% in restaurants and 50% capacity for events. I think private events are 10 people. I think that's what they're saying. So that'll narrow things down for the holidays. You know, I was set down to go with Ottawa. I was going to be in Ottawa on Sunday and Tuesday to broadcast games. And then I was heading today. I would have been flying to LaGuardia and doing the Ottawa-Jersey game tomorrow night, and then getting back here, Montreal and Jersey tomorrow night, and then getting back here the morning of the 24th. So as all this develops, you're watching, you know, first Calgary was the first team to drop, and then you're watching teams that are going to be crossing the border and threats of quarantine, and you start to think about yourself, okay, you know, is there a chance, the way the testing was set up, that you would get caught in New York for 10 days or 14 days, and there was. And all of a sudden, when it's you personally, it's okay, this is real now, and we have to deal with this, and this is what teams are dealing with. And so I was essentially in the exact same position as players on Canadian teams would have been, or U.S. teams traveling to Canada if you got caught on the wrong side of the border. So, you know, when it all happened, I understood it, but I understood it from a personal level, and it's so challenging. I mean, we're back up. You know, I'm supposed to be traveling the 27th, and in the Floridas and Carolina, the 28th through the 2nd with Montreal. So we'll remain to see what happens. And I believe there are 4 cross-border games due the 27th. So, you know, let's wait and see, as we're all doing.
Well, and that's it. It's, I mean, I can ask you to predict where it's going to go, but we just have no idea. The one question I have is, when you were playing, what was the schedule like, you know, during the holidays? Were you guys playing games through the holidays?
Yeah.
What did you have for a break when you were playing?
That's a great question, because I've actually just penned a column this morning for the Star on the weekend about Christmas memories, and we got one day off, Christmas Day. That's it.
That's it.
You were allowed to practice on Christmas Eve, and you virtually always played. We always had a boxing game day against Washington, and so it was totally, totally different. And I won't spill the whole story, but it's a pretty funny story that I tell for my Sunday article about Christmas Eve in 1984, when a rookie coach named Mike Keenan decided he was going to teach a major life point to his hockey club on Christmas Eve at 8:00 in the morning. So I'll tease with that, and then I'll throw the story up on Twitter as soon as it releases, and let you know that if I'm still talking about something that happened on Christmas Eve in 1984, it had a pretty significant impact on me.
It's coming out on Boxing Day. Okay, so go to Twitter, find Dave on Twitter, hit the little icon to get the notification, so you'll get that tweet notification. Because now I got to read the article on Sunday. So that was an excellent tease. So the follow-up to that is, do you think somewhere that this is going to be welcomed, at least in the short term, by NHL players? Because now they should get a Christmas with their families, which they maybe normally wouldn't get this much of a holiday.
I think if it were clear-cut what was happening after Christmas, I would say yes. But I think in the bottom of, you know, somewhere tucked in the back of your mind when you're doing whatever you're doing, whether it be decorating a tree or wrapping gifts or whatever, you're going to be wondering what is going to happen. And if we were saying, hey, we're going back and everything's a clear go for the 27th or 26th and we're ready to go, we'll be skating, we'll be going, yes, this would be, you'd be very, very happy having a Christmas break like this. And, you know, in both Philadelphia and Boston, Darren, we traveled the day after Christmas. And so the ice show came into, I think it was the ice show into Philadelphia and the circus into Boston, or vice versa, for like 2 weeks. So every year on Christmas Day, I was packing up the tree. And, so you kind of have mixed thoughts on it. Your prelude to Christmas was whatever it was. Most often we played the 23rd. You skated the 24th. You jammed your Christmas dinner in and you were gone. And so it's nice now, actually, whatever break I get, and talk about appreciating something, I've appreciated a lot more. And you realize how many of the holidays you do give up when you're a player. And, the ultimate is probably the World Juniors, and those kids couldn't be happier to be giving it up and participating for the respective countries over Christmas. Because if you're playing in the World Juniors, you're the focus of everyone's attention.
Oh, no kidding. Jeez, where's the time gone? We got less than a couple of minutes here. So that's crazy. There's so much I want to get into, but I want some good news. Heading into the break, and I want to give our viewers across the country a little something to look forward to. Who have you been most impressed with in the early part of the season when it comes to the Canadian teams in the National Hockey League?
I don't know if there's one team that, everybody's had their ebbs and flows. The Leafs had it early. They've probably been the most impressive as of late. Edmonton certainly early. Calgary had a great start. I still think Winnipeg is going to be contended with. They went through something incredibly, powerful with their coach. And I mentioned it was almost as if Paul Maurice, fired his hockey club. The oldest adage is you can't fire all the players, so you fire the coach. Well, the coach got out ahead of it on that one. And I still really like their team. I think it was an admirable decision on Paul's part to step away when he did, because I believe he did it for the team and for the organization. I think those four teams are still going to be significant players. I really do. And I don't know which way to bend or push them, because I think those four teams are all going to be, contesting for playoff spots and factors in the playoffs. Montreal's had an incredibly challenging year. I don't see that changing. Ottawa's been fun to watch as of late. And, Vancouver under Bruce, hey, what a great Christmas gift they got. And when someone asked me about them skating right now, I said they probably want to go to the rink twice a day right now. It's so much fun for them. So it's a pretty clear lesson in how quickly it can turn around. But, at the top of the list right now is probably Toronto in terms of performance and in terms of what their fans think. But there's always going to be that little hesitation that says, we've still got to do it late year.
Last one, real short, simple. The Canucks have won 6 in a row. You just mentioned. Are they a playoff team?
I'm going to say no right now, and it's really tough. I just think it's going to be hard to keep pushing. Vegas is clearly doing what they do. I'm just not sure how they fit. I think Calgary and Edmonton are both for real. And so Vancouver's going to be scrapping, but those California teams, particularly, well, really all three of them at various points through this first half, I think it's going to come down to Vancouver and the California teams, and you're going to have to oust at least two of the three.
Great stuff, Dave. Great chat. Good to see you. And Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. All the best.
Terrific. Have a great holiday. Thanks.
Dave Poulin joining us from Ontario. TSN's Dave Poulin. Your thoughts? Taco time. Viewer takeover is next. I'll get better at managing the comments. We're dive into that text line 902-518-3033 and more from you on YouTube as well. It's the Rod Pedersen Show. YouTube Live, Game Plus TV, and wherever you get your podcasts, and 24/7 Sports Radio as well at rodpedersen.com.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar buying group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might sprain your wrist or even fracture it. A severe wrist fracture can take at least 2 months to heal properly. And it can cause you to develop arthritis that keeps you from doing something as simple as picking up your child without pain. Slips, trips, and falls can have a lifetime impact. Take safer steps with WorksafeSask.ca.
Hey, Don.
Hey, Quinn.
We have a surprise for you.
Oh, my.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
A legend throws 713 yards in a single pro football game.
A legend wins 3 Grey Cup MVP awards.
Allen looking deep.
A legend scores 1,209 points in 1,127 NHL games. Play among legends at betregal.net.
This holiday season, wish your way at Capital GMC. Unwrap a completely customized vehicle ordering experience. Reserve a pre-ordered unit that's already on its way. Or get into a GM certified pre-owned vehicle that's on the lot and ready to roll. And don't forget, we pay big for your used vehicle, even if you don't buy from us. Plus, our service department is your winter headquarters. Get special pricing on name brand tires, storage, maintenance, and more. And we always offer free vehicle pickup and delivery. This holiday season, wish your way at Capital GMC.
Hey, Matt, how's it going? We have something really special.
Holy, it's pretty impressive.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
It's taco time. Viewer takeover. Their in-house or their hot sauce, their signature hot sauce, is made in-house daily. I did that right off the top of the noggin. That's how much I remember these liners. Anyways, we're into the YouTube comments. We'll get into the text as well. 902-518-3033. Merry Christmas, everybody. Bill Lothian is messaging. Says Happy Wednesday. Merry Christmas to all. Glenn Erickson, great comment. Awesome to have Chris Jones in a leadership role in the CFL. The league needs all the personality it can find. The owners used to provide some of this, but that ship sure has sailed. Yes, it has. Great comment, Glenn. We'll get to more of these. And Justin Dunk coming up in hour 2 with the most coveted man in Canadian football. That's coming up next. The Rod Pedersen Show here on YouTube Live, Game Plus, and wherever you get your podcast.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
This holiday season, wish your way at Capital Ford Lincoln. Unwrap a completely customized vehicle ordering experience. Reserve a pre-ordered unit that's already on its way. Or get into a pre-owned vehicle that's on the lot and ready to roll. And don't forget, we pay big for your used vehicle, even if you don't buy from us. Plus, our service department is your winter headquarters. Get special pricing on name brand tires, storage, maintenance, and more. And we always offer free vehicle pickup and delivery. This holiday season, wish your way at Capital Ford Lincoln.
I started the Shatler Lacrosse Academy 3 years ago. And my main goal for the province of Saskatchewan was to spread the game and the awareness of lacrosse. Jeff Shatler here, number 77 with the Saskatchewan Rush. I currently play forward, 16 years pro. I live, work, and play in the province of Saskatchewan. Direct West's mission is to grow Saskatchewan economy by helping small local businesses win with digital advertising services, but they are also a major supporter of local sport, art, and charitable organizations. Year after year, Direct West continues to put their money where their mouth is and ensuring the minor sports and art and music festivals can continue to thrive in our province. They continue to do all they can to promote our communities and assist nonprofit charitable organizations in the effort to improve the quality of life in the province of Saskatchewan. I'm proud to work with Direct West and call the province of Saskatchewan my home.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might hit your head. That could cause a traumatic brain injury that, depending on how severe it is, could take months to heal or leave you with long-term effects. Effects like getting debilitating headaches for the rest of your life. Slips, trips, and falls can have a lifetime impact. Take safer steps with WorksafeSask.ca.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
In the heat of the summer, familiar sounds, feel in the air, it's the best thing anywhere. Just give me back my game. 'Cause I live for the drama, I live for the emotion. No one can take me down, bring me back my football.
BetRegal.net, exclusive sports gaming partner of the CFL.
Hey, Rod Squad. Now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpedersenshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show. Official RP Show gear at rodpedersenshop.com.
By a large margin, the Toronto Maple Leafs are voted the most annoying fan base in the National Hockey League, and frankly, I must agree. Sure, I like them. They're just highly annoying. Leafs fans don't even know that they're that annoying, which makes them the most annoying. Don't be fooled by the Calgary Flames, okay, at the bottom of the list, because this is only like 17, 18 teams. There's like 14 other teams behind them.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, happy holidays, Canada. Welcome to Daytime Sports Talk here on the Rod Pedersen Show. Rod is officially on his Christmas break, although he'll make a brief stop back in on Friday for our World Junior Preview Show. That will be at our regularly scheduled time, but don't worry. I'm here today, tomorrow. Friday's our World Junior Show, and we'll be back even as well on Monday. So looking forward to that. Great holiday. And this is my high school gymnasium. This is where I went to high school. I'll age myself. I graduated in 2005. So we found the grad photo. We'll show that tomorrow, okay? We'll get you some shots around the school for the show tomorrow. Got some really cool things we'll show you here as we're back in our hometowns. Justin Dunk is in Guelph at the Parents' Farm as we welcome him back in for hour 2. What's up for the holidays, Justin? Oh, there we go. We got the pup in this shot. That's great.
Yeah. Dude, hang with the fam, honestly. Just be nice just to bunker down. Dupes, you know how I like to go. So especially on the 25th, it's just going to be a family day. My nieces and my nephews, Liam and Elliot and Cohen, I love them so much. So I'm going to spend a bunch of time with them. They're not watching. I know they're not watching, but it's old school. And last night, I just went out and made sure I got a power cord for an old Wii that we were given. So they're getting Wii Sports and Mario Kart, their first video game system. So they're going to be so jacked on Christmas Day. They keep saying, hey, Uncle Justin, can you stop going and doing TV? Of course, it's CHCH TV, the sports anchoring that I do. Can you just stay home with us on our Christmas break? So I'm just warmed by my heart that they say that, and I'm jacked to be with them.
Dude, that is amazing. And you know what? Like when everybody's together, when you start playing the Wii and the Mario Kart and stuff, it's going to be incredible. That's awesome. Good for you. And I know how much that
What about you,
so that's
Dupes?
really great. And yeah, so we're here. It's going to be awesome. Going to be here for a few days. My sister's coming with all the kids. Mom and dad are here. My brother and his 2 kids and his family. That's going to be great. We're all going to get together. So actually, I think everybody gets into town this afternoon. So I snuck out a little bit early, which is awesome. Seeing some friends, and then going to get some time on the weekend up at the lake. So it's going to be an awesome Christmas. I'm looking forward to it. I was actually playing basketball in the commercial break. I was shooting hoops. I had 4 minutes, and I was so nervous I was going to miss coming back for the start of the show. So
how's the jumper, buddy?
Pretty good. Hey, the jumper is terrible. Okay. Like I'm like you, probably like a bit of a natural athlete, like play a lot of sports. I don't specialize. I kind of like playing basketball. I'm not tall enough to actually play competitively, but like you would be surprised. I haven't shot a basketball in a few years. Like just air ball after air ball. It took a few to get back into it. Good thing it wasn't captured on TV. Yeah, it was bad. We're going to get to your CFL thoughts here coming up, and I know we're going to end up running out of time if we don't get to that. So I want to get to your comments as well. 902-518-3033. Did you hear the jingle in that first commercial break?
Oh, yeah.
All right. That's it?
Gotta love it.
Okay, good. Look, there's so much on the table in the Canadian Football League, and I want to get to this now. But I want to start with the news that we've already had released. Let's talk about Chris Jones, because that's the comment that we left you off with in hour 1 from Glenn Erickson, who wrote in and said that Chris Jones, to sum it up, he said, Chris Jones is great to have a personality like that back in the game. Used to have some owners that used to bring some personality to the game, but that ship has sailed. Chris Jones back to the CFL. I mean, obviously he was in Toronto, but as a prominent figure, a head coach, GM in Edmonton, I assume only good for the CFL.
In my mind, overall, it's great to have a character. There are people on both sides of this, which makes it a debate and a major hot button talking point anytime Chris Jones' name is mentioned. Dude, so I'm sure you guys realize it in terms of views and watchers and the clips you guys put out on social media and the show in general, especially when Jones has been on your show. It's been widely viewed. So from my perspective at 3 Down Nation, whenever we write a story about him, the traffic is on average higher than a lot of the other things that we do. So he drives interest. That's great. We need that in the CFL. Now, there are some things that people will say that he did in Saskatchewan behind the scenes that he got away with that they're not happy with. And in my mind, that's fair to have an opinion. But overall, what drives the NFL so much, in my mind, and why it's the biggest sports league and attracts the most eyeballs around the world, is because of the characters in it, right? A lot of people know who Tom Brady is. It's not just the hardcores. It's your mom, your dad, your grandpa that might not even watch football all the time. Your grandma, your aunt, your uncle, whoever it is, they know Tom Brady, part of that's because he's been in the Super Bowl so much. But I think that goes for Chris Jones largely across the country in Canada. And they know about him because they've taken a stance or an opinion based on what he's done on the field. And then some people feel like he's left franchises at times that weren't ideal. And then also the rumors that you hear behind the scenes. So it's great in my mind to have Jones back in a prominent role because it's going to drive interest that benefits everybody.
Look, it's true. And people will talk about this all the time, Justin. And I really like the thing that comes up. I mean, Bruce Boudreau gets hired as a head coach in Vancouver. Now he's doing really well. They've won 6 in a row. They've won 8 of their last 10. They're still 10 points out of first, but they're working their way out of this, right? But when he got hired, you hear a lot of the comments like, why are we recycling these old coaches? Is there nobody new? We're always going back to the old same people over and over and over. And, you hear that same comment in Edmonton with Chris Jones a little bit. Can we not find somebody new? And as you talked about with the NFL, that's not what drives tickets. That's not what drives interest. Eyeballs on TV. I mean, if you're going to the movie theater and you see the marquee, it says starring Justin Dunk and Darren Dupont and Clark Monroe. People probably aren't going to buy tickets for that movie because they've never heard of us, right, in a movie theater space, right? But if you see names that you recognize, right? If you see Ryan Reynolds or Dwayne Johnson or you see Bradley Cooper, you're probably going to go to the movie. So those personalities, those characters that have name value and recognition, they all help grow the game. So Chris Jones said he wants to build a legacy like the Stamps in Edmonton, and that was a comment that came in. The fans aren't buying it, right? And I understand there's going to be some repair that needs to be done with the fan base in Edmonton. Can they get over the fact that he left them for Saskatchewan? Can he be welcomed back into that city? And will he be?
Edmonton should. He's the last guy from a coaching position to lead them to a Grey Cup in 2015. Of course, they need to realize that this is, in a bit of a football operations cap pinch, the best move for the franchise. So, yeah, they got to get over it. He won you a Grey Cup title. And, hey, anybody, no matter what job that you're in or what area you decide to work in, if you were offered more money and more power, you wouldn't go and take it. So that's what happened with Chris Jones. When he went to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, he was doing everything, right? He was popping the popcorn. He was a vice president, player personnel, the general manager, the head coach, everything we know it. And he turned that team around and had them on the cusp. I think a lot of people forget this, of going to the Grey Cup until Ricky Ray hit James Wilder Jr. on that wheel route on third down in Toronto. Otherwise, the Riders would have been in the Grey Cup. His star would have been even higher. And then when you have an NFL team banging at your door, Dupes, you got to go explore that opportunity because you don't know when that's going to come again. Like, to go make over $700,000 US, I was told, per season as a defensive assistant with a chance to potentially move up the ladder when it looked like Freddie Kitchens had that locker room. And that's part of the reason why he got that job as head coach in Cleveland. And then, the general manager and John Dorsey there, that's a position that you have to go take. Anybody else in their right mind, you, me, Clark, Roddy, anybody out there watching, would not turn that money down. It was more than he was making in Saskatchewan, and it was the opportunity to get into the NFL. Like it or not, that is more sexy than the CFL, and it could lead to a more stable financial future for Jones. I'm sure he's doing fine financially overall, but when you have the chance to make millions of dollars instead of hundreds of thousands of dollars, you can't fault the guy. So bottom line, Edmonton needs to get over it. He's the best guy for the job right now.
How about that?
Yeah. And there is a belief here. There's two schools of thought. Do you want to be the big fish in the small pond and be the master at your game and hope that people see you as the path to the next level? Or do you want to be in the organization? Because there's a saying, and it goes something like this: the person closest to the sun has the greatest opportunity to catch on fire. Okay? And that means, from our perspective, and we go through this in the business, and I can kind of talk about the struggles or the path, of being a radio, TV, on-air personality. We want to get to an ESPN, a TSN, a Sportsnet, a Fox, you name it. And we can be at the top of our game, but sometimes just getting in the door and being close to the sun is your best opportunity. If you can get in, whether you're grabbing coffee, pulling cables, scanning photocopies, you're in the building. And it might be easier for somebody to see you and say, I like the way you talk. We've had a chance to have a private meeting. Chris Jones, inside the Browns organization, even on a lesser role, can maybe have 1 point heard around a table, right? Can have one thing said and make one scheme, make one adjustment, see one thing. It gets noticed, and all of a sudden you can work your way up. So I totally get where he'd be coming from on that. And he'll probably go back if an opportunity came knocking.
Yeah, and when you're close to the sun, man, you can get that tan and make you more sexy. As you said, you get the opportunity to make that one little change. Maybe it's your appearance with that tan, and somebody say, hey, I want to move that guy up the ladder.
Look, comment in right now on YouTube. Clark, and I want your help with this too. If you see questions come in on YouTube that should be answered, the good ones, because I'm not as seasoned at monitoring the comments and all the multitasking that has to happen in this chair that Rod does. So I'm calling in a little support if you see it. And the reason why, I appreciate Nelson commenting in, but squirrel here. What I want you to comment in is your guess at who the most coveted person in the CFL is, because you dropped that tease. We won't get to it yet, but let us know who you think it is, and we'll see if you're right here in just a few moments. But Nelson Hakowich, and Nelson, I appreciate you being patient and writing this in a second time. He has a question for Dunk. He says, Dunk, What do you know about the Genius Sports, and what does that partnership mean to the league over and above sports betting?
We need to see this in action first, and the details are sort of few and far between here. But in my mind, a lot of the crux of this deal is the ability for Genius Sports to get data from the CFL, right? And that's really across a lot of tech companies right now. Is data is power in terms of getting to the audience that you want to get to. So they have a share now in the CFL's marketing arm that they've created, so to speak. So they'll share in revenue there. And Randy Ambrosie sort of posited it and saying that that's because they didn't have the money to bring in Genius Sports in the full way that they would want to. So they came up with a creative way to get them in there. I'm still skeptical until we see some of the results. And that's a great question in terms of over and above sports betting, because I don't think sports betting is going to be as lucrative for the CFL as a lot of people think it is. So Genius Sports needs to come up with these other avenues for the CFL to generate revenue to benefit themselves because of the rev share, but more importantly, for the viewers out there and everyone watching and listening, the CFL.
Yeah, amazing. So I like that. I hope that answers your question, Nelson. Nelson continues to write in. There's a few comments coming in here. Can we give them another hint on, excuse me, sneeze. Never sneezed on the air, I don't think, before.
Bless you, buddy.
Thank you. Can you give them a hint on the most coveted person in the CFL? Because here's what's coming in. It's actually a mix. Leighton Janice says Adam Bighill 100%. He also says Stanley Bryan is definitely 1B. Dane Evans is the number one free agent in the CFL. That's from Nelson Hackowich. Free Oleg says, Oleg say most outstanding player, Zachary Caleros, be number one free agent. We didn't say free agent, though. Right?
Indeed.
We didn't say
You're
free
right,
agent.
buddy. Details matter.
So
I'll give you another clue, though. So we're not talking about free agents. And a lot of those guys, Zach Caleros, Adam Bighill, Stanley Bryan in particular, they're likely going to re-sign with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, okay? Caleros wants to stay there. He loves the culture with O'Shea. Adam Bighill has an off-season job there. Bryant's been a lockdown left tackle. In my mind, they'll get those guys done. It's just a matter of time. The guy that I'm talking about is coveted in front offices right now. He was a legendary quarterback in the league, and he could be critical in terms of helping some franchises looking to go from the bottom of the division back to the top of the division, because he knows what it's like to be on top. So I'll leave it there, and let's see if we can get some better guesses.
That's pretty good. Okay, we'll do that. We'll open up the text line after the break. A couple of reminders here. Hour 2 is presented by Original 16, brewed in Saskatchewan, made with premium Saskatchewan ingredients. Original 16 is unfiltered peak flavor. They bring us Hour 2 every single day. So we'll come back with more with Justin. We're going to get into that. I want to talk about the free agent list. Winnipeg, listen up. A couple of things. Rod talked about one free agent from every team that needs to get signed. And you talked about one on 3 Down, not you specifically, but 3 Down had an article up about one free agent from every team that should probably be time to say goodbye to. So those are really important. Stay tuned for that. It's the Rod Pedersen Show here during the holidays, live from Wynyard and from Guelph. We've got that and more coming up here in Hour 2 of the program. Live on YouTube, Game Plus television, all across Canada and 31 states, and 24/7 sports radio at rodpedersen.com.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar Buying Group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Comfort has always been something we as people strive for. It means that the places we live and work, and that the people we care most about, are able to go about their lives focusing on the things that matter. Our focus at FlameTech has remained the same for more than 20 years. Now more than ever, we need each other to support our local businesses. As an industry leader in combustion services, we are proud to attend to the needs of our communities and support the local economy.
A Landmark Cinemas $30 gift card with $40 in great movie savings is the perfect gift to give. Or give to yourself. Get yours today in theater or online at landmarkcinemas.com and make it a merry movie season. Landmark Cinemas, for movie lovers.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Coming up on Friday, it's our World Junior Preview show here on Game Plus and YouTube Live. Great guests, including Peter Labardius and Julia Robenheimer, and Hockey Canada members. That's 12 noon Eastern, regularly scheduled time, and here on the Rod Pedersen Show. So our World Junior show coming up on Friday. To the text line at 306 or at 902-518-3033. Man, I almost pulled out the old number. Brady finally wrote in and says, "Hey, Dupes, I might watch a few Olympic hockey games, but won't be inclined to watch it now that there is no NHL players in it. It becomes mediocre Olympic hockey. Pete should be sent to an early retirement home. His schemes are so outdated that they no longer work in today's game. Merry Christmas to the whole crew at the RP Show and Rod Squad, as well to the whole crew at the RP Show and Rod's." Okay, so he had it twice. So he thinks that Pete Carroll's the issue. I think a lot of Seattle Seahawks fans would probably agree. They think Russell Wilson's probably somebody they don't want to lose. You agree with Brady, Justin?
Yeah, you got to keep Danger Russ, man.
I would think so. Still on the text line, one more. Ryan McCarthy writes in, "Duncan Dupes. I could see Russell Wilson in a Giants uniform. The Giants have draft capital, but similar to Seattle, their offensive line is super thin. One place I could see Wilson winding up is in Las Vegas, but would Mark Davis want to part ways with Derek Carr? It'll definitely be a story to watch in the offseason." What's Vegas going to do at quarterback? Are they pretty settled in on Derek Carr? Because he's a very underrated, underappreciated quarterback in the NFL.
He is, but man, you get the chance to get Russell Wilson. That's the kind of market that I'm talking about. Going to Vegas? That will be hot fire, dude. I'm going to Vegas just to see him if he ends up with the Raiders, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Okay. They're coming in fast and furious. We're going to get to the most coveted person in the Canadian Football League. Here's the comments that have come in, Justin. BW says, Danny Barrett? Danny Barrett's on the staff of the Houston Texans. He might be coveted. I don't think he's leaving Houston. Trent Bruner, who's watching in Norway. Merry Christmas, Trent. He says Kent Austin. John also said Kent Austin. Free Oleg said Kent Austin. Here's one out of left field. Northside YEG says Casey Printers. I don't know what Casey Printers is up to these days. That's out of left field. Ryan McCarthy says, I was going to say Anthony Calvillo, but he's the QB coach at the U of Montreal. That wouldn't stop Anthony Calvillo from being highly coveted. Somebody else mentioned Pinball, who's already got a job. Somebody said Tracy Ham, Doug Flutie. G. Roy Simon's name came up. Colin McAnulty says, I was going to say G. Roy Simon, but he was not a QB, just a great wide receiver. Christine said Huff. Hussey's Huddle said Danny McManus. Jeffrey Townend says Dave Dickinson. Nelson Hackowich also says Danny McManus. Who is the most coveted person in the CFL? Justin Dunk.
Finally, we had two dudes hit it there. It is the one and only man known as Danny Mac, who has been integral as a U.S. scout for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and the front office in Ottawa would like him to come there and help build out their U.S. talent. And also in Edmonton, it would be a guy that Chris Jones would covet there. So it might surprise some people, and judging by a lot of the responses there, Dupes, it's not somebody that a ton of people had, but credit, and I forget the names there, but two of them had Danny Mac. And that is the guy right now that is the hottest name that is coveted by multiple franchises in the CFL to build him into cup contenders. Of course, he's already proven he can do that and win multiple cups with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Yeah, it's been pretty impressive, but until the Grey Cups, we don't really see Danny McManus. And, you know, there's times in the last half a dozen years where you wonder, where is Danny Mac? What's he doing? You kind of forget about him. He was a player. I loved watching Danny McManus play quarterback when I was growing up. So what's Danny's end goal in all of this? What is his future in football, or is it what he's doing now, you know, in that scouting department and finding players? What's Danny McManus's future look like in the CFL?
Yeah, at some point, and you get the bigger title and more money, you're going to want to be a general manager in the CFL. But currently, McManus has this vast network in the United States. And we got to remember, he was great in the CFL, but he was the quarterback of Florida State. Like, this guy knows a lot of people just from getting that position and being the starter for the Seminoles for a number of years. So that's how he's developed this scouting network throughout the United States. And really, when you have a football operations cap that's trimmed down, you can only have so many guys in the front office. Having a guy like McManus who can help you cover, you know, essentially most of the United States with a little bit of help there. We should give some credit. Teddy Gavaya does a lot of American scouting as well. So between the two of them, they cover that off. Gavaya also does a lot of Canadian scouting contracts, helps with the salary cap there in Winnipeg, and of course was a finalist against Chris Jones in Edmonton. So it's not just McManus, but McManus has the cachet around the league right now because they know, they being the teams that want to fill these roles in the front office, that if you bring McManus in, he brings this vast network and can get you a bunch of guys on your roster, like let's say a Jackson Jeffcoat, who has been born and bred essentially in Winnipeg into a star to help you build a potential cup contender.
Teams are often, you know, victims of their own success, and that's kind of a case of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. You're good, you win Grey Cups, and now everybody wants your people. So should fans be worried in Winnipeg that at the top some key people might not be back because they've just been in line? They're in line for promotions. Is that a concern for the Blue Bombers moving forward?
It will be, because it's going to be difficult, right? When you have a guy like Ted Gavaya have interest from Ottawa and Edmonton and go down to the wire in Edmonton as a general manager, right? Just naturally, any of us in these positions, we're going to want more say and potentially, and obviously, more money for what we've done, right? And that's just like the players on the field. Everyone that was a part of that team, especially on that roster that won back-to-back Grey Cups, is going to want more money. So that's what happens in the front office as well. And you get the teams that are at the bottom, like in Ottawa and in Edmonton, who respectively in the East and the West were last place this past season. Then you're going to want to pay up for a guy like McManus to come in there to help you with your U.S. talent. Now, Ottawa probably needs more of the help than Edmonton because you bring in Jones and he has so many connections in the United States and he loves to get out there and scout that he'll do a bulk of that. But from what I've heard, Jones would want McManus, given his choice, to come there to Edmonton. So yeah, if you're a Winnipeg Blue Bombers fan, you're certainly worried, and there's always going to be change. So I think that's what the front offices need to be prepared for. The key with the Bombers is that it looks like Michael Shea is going to stay there, Kyle Walters the general manager, and hopefully if they lose McManus, if you're a Winnipeg fan, you can find somebody else to help you out in those areas, although admittedly it won't be to the level of Danny Mack.
Yeah, and that's interesting too. We've put out an APB on KC Printers, and we've got a result back from Ryan McCarthy in New York. He said KC Printers is currently a motivational speaker. So good to know that Casey's doing well, and he was a wonderful personality in the CFL. I love KC Printers. Nelson Hackowich was the one who got Danny Mack first, I believe, his first one I saw. So that was good. I don't know why, but Scott Flory's name is now popping up in the YouTube chat. Something he said, John mentioned Scott Flory will be an excellent Saskatchewan Riders head coach. Well, they already have a head coach. I think Free Oleg said just a matter of time until Scott Flory is a head coach in the CFL. Is that a path? You and I have worked with Scott Flory quite closely over the last number of years. We've seen him become really comfortable as a head coach and really come into his own and develop a real personality. I've never talked to him about aspirations beyond the University of Saskatchewan Huskies. Do you think it's on the timetable or the timeline for Scott Flory?
In my mind, Dupes, when we talked to him a bunch of times, he's not going to even entertain that conversation with us, right? Because he's so focused on the moment and what's right in front of him. But if you look at the way that, especially for me, that he changed his mannerisms and he was really working on things in terms of not showing off any negative energy or yelling or screaming at his players in 2021, in my mind, that helped the Huskies take that next step and get to the Vanier Cup. So he's very cognizant of those things. Clearly, he's got the backing of Mark Trestman. I spoke to him during Vanier Cup week. Trestman had great things to say about him. All the way back when he was a player, Trestman was saying, hey, you better not just pay attention in film here to what the offensive line is doing, because if you're going to coach your kids in Pop Warner football one day, essentially Adam or Tyke in Canada, then you need to know what's going on. Well, Trestman joked that he's not just coaching his kids. He's taken Canadian University team to the Vanier Cup. So he's at that level. And in my mind, we've seen it. Greg Marshall, who had a wonderful run with the McMaster Marauders, then became a head coach in Hamilton after that. They won 4 Yates Cups in a row, didn't win a Vanier Cup, but still he had that success that led to him going there. Kyle Walters, we just mentioned him. He was a head coach at the University of Guelph, got into Winnipeg as a special teams guy, was doing some personnel, now is in the general manager's chair. So if Flory continues to have this success, and especially sustained success, then his name is going to become hotter and hotter in terms of the CFL. And we've talked about it throughout the show, Dupes. Often money talks. So if you can make more money in the CFL and it's that next challenge for Flory, we know how competitive he is. You could potentially see him there in the future.
Justin Dunk, football insider and lead insider at 3downnation.com, is with us here from his hometown in Guelph. I'm at my hometown in Wynyard at the high school. And coming up a little bit later on here in the next segment, Arash Madani from Sportsnet, who we're going to get into some tennis talk with Arash. I know you play with Arash a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to get a little 2022 outlook on Canadian tennis and some of our superstars, and find out just how good. I'm gonna find out how good you are at tennis, because we've never played, Justin, and it's on the docket. It's one of the New Year's resolutions that at some point in 2022 we're going to have a match. Okay.
Yes, sir. Mark it down.
Okay. We'll stick on the CFL topic for this segment. We'll bring you back in for overtime. But JC, I think, wrote the article about one player that every team needs to get prepared to move on from. And there were two standouts here that are going to not feel good for fan bases. The first one in Hamilton was Brandon Banks. Time to move on from Brandon Banks. Not the same guy from a year, 2, 3 years ago, seasons ago, I guess 2 years ago would be the last time he was on the field. And the other one was Andrew Harris in Winnipeg. And I know Blue Bomber fans don't want to hear that, but he's in his mid-30s. His numbers are going to start declining. Is it time? Do you go along with JC that it's time for Hamilton and Winnipeg to move on from these two superstars?
So yeah, let's just make it clear. That was JC Abbott's take, and I'll give you mine right here now on these players. I'll start in the Hammer because I'm close to there. I'm literally going to CH later today to do my sportscast there. So in terms of Brandon Banks, he's been there forever, right? And for a long time, really up until this season, he was known as the most explosive player in the CFL. In my mind, Lucky Whitehead took that coveted title away from him. Whitehead was unbelievable. But what JC's getting at in his article is that you just need to be careful. And Banks said it himself in his end of season media availability when I was questioning him. He said, I understand that I'm not going to be the highest paid guy anymore, right? We've seen some of his comments on Twitter in the past and wanting to be the highest paid receiver, but he's taken on, and I hate this because it's cliche, but he really has taken on a leadership role in Hamilton and helped mentor some of these younger receivers, a Jalen Acklin, a Tim White, a Pappy White that's gotten in a little bit, a Stephen Dunbar Jr. who was playing at X, that weak side receiver position that normally Banks would line up at. Dunbar Jr. was there a lot. So I think the Ticats are going to bring Banks back. It'll be at a bargain rate. I think Speedy wants to be back, but he already realizes it's not going to be for that kind of money. And when you talk about money, that's the real key with Andrew Harris, right? He's used to making $200,000+ a year. Now, his production has not yet slipped, and I think age in a lot of cases is just a number, and it has become that with Harris. JC's point in the article, and I think it's well taken, is that Brady Oliveira is there. He's shown he can rush the rock as the main dude, not for an entire season, but he had a couple 100-yard games. And then they have Johnny Augustine by way of the University of Guelph, who is an absolute freak of nature in terms of seeing him in the gym. That dude is rocked up. So they got some running backs that they're stacking there behind Harris for whenever he moves on. I feel like it's going to be really difficult whenever that does happen with Harris because he is the hometown star, because he has won back-to-back Grey Cups. But this team is so good that you would imagine Harris is going to want to at least think about seeing, can we continue this legacy that I've built here and make it a dynasty? I feel like you win 3 Grey Cups in a row or 3 Grey Cups in 4 years, then we can start talking that big D word. And that's going to at least intrigue Harris, but he's likely not going to be able to get as much in terms of his salary because they got to try to keep this team together if they want to keep winning.
One question from Nelson Hakowicz. Is Lucky Whitehead headed back to the Bombers with his appearance in the crowd at the West Final? Was he foreshadowing something that Lucky wants to come back to Winnipeg?
I mean, everybody saw him in the crowd, and he had the Winnipeg toucan, I believe it was, but he did say he showed up to that game wearing BC Lions gear. Now, in my mind, Whitehead's going to be a guy that's going to go to the highest bidder, right? So if he's a dude that is out there and you're a team looking to make a quick turnaround, let's say like in Ottawa or in Edmonton, I don't know how you couldn't make a high bid to bring that guy in. He's an instant game changer. It was too bad what happened, that unfortunate injury with his hand. He even tried to come back in the game with broken digits and try to catch the rock. So I don't necessarily think he'll end up back in Winnipeg, but he'll go to one of those teams that's looking to make a quick turnaround.
Awesome stuff, Justin. We'll see you back here for overtime. How about that?
Yeah, buddy.
How about that?
Hour 2 of the show is brought to you by Original 16 Beer. Brewed in Saskatchewan. Arash Madani from Sportsnet is coming up next. We got Olympics. We'll talk about the NFL. We'll talk about the Minnesota Vikings and find out what's going on there. And I'm going to get a 5-minute conversation, maybe a little bit less, but I'm going to get at least 60 seconds on tennis. So stay tuned. That's coming up here on the Rod Pedersen Show on YouTube Live, Game Plus TV across Canada and throughout the United States, and wherever you get your podcast. The Rod Pedersen Show, back after this.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
This holiday season, wish your way at Capital Ford Lincoln. Unwrap a completely customized vehicle ordering experience. Reserve a pre-ordered unit that's already on its way. Or get into a pre-owned vehicle that's on the lot and ready to roll. And don't forget, we pay big for your used vehicle, even if you don't buy from us. Plus, our service department is your winter headquarters. Get special pricing on name brand tires, storage, maintenance, and more. And we always offer free vehicle pickup and delivery. This holiday season, wish your way at Capital Ford Lincoln.
Some of the challenges we face with the CT technology that we have today is some of the deficiencies in around integration with some of our other systems. The addition of 2 new 4D simulators within the programming at the Saskatchewan Cancer Agency is going to have significant impact on the care we provide to the people of Saskatchewan.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Comfort has always been something we as people strive for. It means that the places we live and work, and that the people we care most about, are able to go about their lives focusing on the things that matter. Our focus at FlameTech has remained the same for more than 20 years. Now more than ever, we need each other to support our local businesses. As an industry leader in combustion services, we are proud to attend to the needs of our communities and support the local economy.
Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar buying group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpedersenshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpedersenshop.com. Coming up on Friday, Christmas Eve, it's our World Junior Preview Show. Friday here on the Rod Pedersen Show. Noon Eastern, Game Plus and YouTube. We'll have thoughts from the coaching staff, from Hockey Canada, and a whole lot more as we get you set for Boxing Day and that tournament. Your thoughts and comments are still welcome on the YouTube feed. Thoughts are also welcome on our text line, 902-518-3033, as we welcome in Sportsnet's Arash Madani on the holiday season. And we say welcome. Happy holidays, Arash. How are you?
Happy holidays, Darren. I'm well. I got Paraguay to win the World Juniors. How about you?
How about that?
All right, that's off the board. I like it. It's good.
I'll be
Look, we
watching
just had
both
Justin on here, and yeah. Well, so Justin and I have been traveling quite a bit, and he raves and he tells me tales of the epic tennis matches that you two have throughout the year, but he also tells me that he can never beat you. Is this true?
Right. Well, I'm glad Dunk said so. That's the first honest thing I've heard from his mouth in about 5 years. You know what's great?
I know, right?
Darren,
so, yeah.
Is a former Guelph quarterback having to call Western win the Vanier Cup, win a national championship. That actually gave me some joy. I have to tell you.
I know, and I wonder what he's going through when he's calling that game, because every fiber in his being is wanting Saskatchewan to win that game, probably, right? And anybody but Western, right? Isn't that the saying?
Yeah.
So
that's his. Although he also had a few other sayings about Western in his playing days. So
we know.
Where are you?
Know. So before we
high school,
I am okay.
Where are you?
Yes. So I'm back home,
So Rod's, I mean, we had Dave Poulin on in hour one, and he's like, Rod's on vacation from what? I thought he's been on vacation for the last 2 months, down in Florida, which is kind of true. But Rod's taking he's on the Christmas break now. So I'm back home, and I needed a place. Mom and Dad's place did not have nearly good enough Wi-Fi, like not even remotely possible to do the show from. So the high school, I'm in my high school in Wynyard.
Nice. Now, are you a member of any of those banners that are hanging? Are you responsible for any of those banners hanging up there or no?
There's a difference between member and responsible. Yeah, there's a 9-man high school football provincial championship that I think my name's on one of those. There's a couple of things around here. I'll show some of that tomorrow. We found my grad photo yesterday, so that was fun.
Ooh, very nice.
But yeah, so it is. It's nostalgic and it's fun to come home. But as we sit here today into the holidays, there's a few things still happening. Obviously, I want to talk a little bit about what's going on in the CFL, a little bit about the NFL and your Vikings. But just because you mentioned it, and I saw it pop up when I was up earlier today, baseball popped up on your radar, and it got me thinking, oh yeah, they're in a lockout in baseball. And then it totally left my register. Like I had totally forgotten that baseball was in this. And maybe that's a little bit about where baseball is in the public conscious right now. But where is baseball in all of this right now? How much trouble are they in?
Well, they're nowhere right now. They're not on the consciousness of anybody, of any sports fan. They're not talking. They're not at the table right now, the players and owners. They remain locked out. The reason why I even brought it up is to give some credit to Rob Longley of Post Media, who went down to the Tampa area, Clearwater area, not far from Dunedin, and the Blue Jays' brand new $100 million training complex that's gathering cobwebs right now because the players are literally locked out from there for their off-season preparation. So nothing is happening with baseball right now, which if you're a fan of the Blue Jays or looking at it through the lens of the Toronto Blue Jays, is brutal because they're coming off a season where they were on the precipice of the postseason, knocking on the door of October, a young core with Vlad and Bo and Manoah, and they re-up Barrios and they bring in Gosman, and now just flat. So this is vintage baseball. They cannot get out of their own way. And they are so short-sighted with what they're doing with this labor situation at a time where you want to be out in front. They're doing the opposite of, and it's self-inflicted.
You're so involved in the game, and you follow it so closely. And I talk about this in sports with the CFL. What we don't realize, and you see it, the borders are almost gone now. Canada, U.S. I mean, it is a thing politically and obviously with travel and stuff. But I mean, we watch the same things on TV. We eat the same foods. We go to the same places. We have the same stores. And we consume all the same content now. It used to be when I grew up that I watched CFL games because I needed a pirated dish of some kind that seemed like a mythical thing that only 2 people in North America had to actually access NFL games. All that was available was CFL games. All that was on, in the newspaper was the CFL. It was right in front of my face. Now it's so much easier to find the NFL. The games are more readily available. We're competing every day with all of North America. It's just as cheap and affordable for me to go to Vegas, to go to a Raiders game and stay in a hotel as it is for me to fly to Winnipeg and go to a Blue Bomber, Rider game or a Blue Bomber Stampeders game. So we're competing all the time. Where does baseball fit into all this? Because we talk about the traditions of baseball and that the game is so pure, right?
Well, I guess. I would say that baseball's in a big challenging position because the game is slow. The game takes a long time. For a generation now that has a lower attention span, it doesn't compute. And there's talk always, Darren, about wanting to change and wanting to make moves that can speed up the pace of the game, etc. But actually executing on evolving has been a major problem. Look, baseball's in huge trouble long term because it's like it feels like it's a lost generation and a half right now. And it wasn't that long ago. If you go back 2 generations, what were the 3 biggest sports in the United States? Was horse racing, boxing, and baseball. Well, look where the other 2 have gone. And unless something is done and quick and drastic, why wouldn't baseball fall down that road? But you make an interesting point, about the phone and everything else. I mean, Darren, Clark, let's go back to that shot of the gym. Like, see all those banners back there? When Darren and I were growing up, we were force-fed stuff on TV, and whatever was on, that was the only thing that we could consume. So we became sports fans because that was just what was on. But now, people who are high school aged have so many different things that they can spend their time on. And there are fewer and fewer young people consuming sports in general. And leagues are not evolving. Pro sports are not evolving to try and attract them. They're doing the exact same, many of the same things that they've been doing for generations prior. You are now competing against YouTube and video games, and for our generation, with concerts and theater and patios and everything else. And so it's, when I talk to people at the Jays sometimes, or talk to people at the Leafs, they're saying, I remember in 2019, the Jays saying, well, the Raptors run really hurt us at the box office. And I'm like, man, patios and outdoors and you're trying to get people's disposable time and money. And it's not just the team down the street you're competing with. You're competing, especially with the youth, with everything else that's at their fingertips that wasn't there a generation or 2 ago.
It's unbelievable. I could have this conversation for an hour, and it's really worth an in-depth look because, a lot of people managing leagues and teams, they're not realizing that, and they market to themselves, right? I mean, we market to what we think we need. We don't market to what our audience needs. And it's a young generation that has so many opportunities and options. Jeez. And we're almost out of time here. I didn't really think we'd talk baseball in this the whole time, but it's been really great. But the last thing I want to ask you is about your Vikings, because I'm following it closely. And I mean, as of today, they're a playoff team, Arash. They're in a wild card spot. So that feels pretty good. But how good does it feel? Are they going to get in?
Yeah. I don't know. They're 7-7. The Rams, the team from the state that we don't mention by name after that, and then Chicago. Before I came on, I was actually listening to Mike Zimmer's media availability today, and the last question was, somebody asked him, you and Matt Nagy on the hot seat, and Zimmer's like, I'm on the hot seat? He didn't want to talk about it. It just feels like the Vikings for the last 2-3 years have been on the long road to nowhere, and the bottom's about to fall out. So that's the sense I get. Whether they get in with an expanded playoffs and they're a one and done, or maybe, they fluke their way into a wild card win at, best case scenario. But this team has just done nothing for a while now. So, whether they get in or whether they don't, I don't really think it's going to impact what the end game is with what's happening in Minnesota.
It's the most frustrating place to be. Trust me, as a Titans fan. I mean, our team name should be 9-7. It is, you're always not good enough to get to the top, not bad enough to be at the bottom. You're always in the middle, and that's a frustrating place for a sports fan.
Yeah, I mean, in the micro, I was watching the game on Sunday in the fourth quarter. I'm like, what do you mean you took 10 offensive snaps and committed turnovers on 3 of them against Pittsburgh? The 10,000 foot view is like, well, this team should be in the AFC Championship game. Derrick Henry is vital to what you do, but they feel lost right now. Can they figure it out? Sure. Indianapolis seems to have figured it out without a quarterback. But outside of KC right now, I don't know what team I'm buying in the AFC. So be healthy, get hot. Who knows what happens in January?
I know. Justin Herbert's and the Chargers are a team I like. I don't know if I trust them. It'll be fun to follow, Arash. We're out of time. I appreciate this. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and we'll see you in the new year.
You got it. Thanks, Darren. You too. And you and everybody else out there also.
You betcha. Arash Madani joining us from Sportsnet. Great chat as always. Okay, overtime is next. One more chance. Taco Time viewer takeover. Hour 2 is for Original 16, and we'll be back from the high school gymnasium on the Rod Pedersen Show, YouTube and Facebook, YouTube Live. We are on Facebook. We're not streamed on Facebook, Game Plus TV, and wherever you get your podcast.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
A legend throws 713 yards in a single pro football game.
A legend wins 3 Grey Cup MVP awards.
Allen looking deep.
A legend scores 1,209 points in 1,127 NHL games. Play among legends at betregal.net.
People donate blood for moments like this.
But there are lots of reasons why Canada's Lifeline needs donors every day.
Like the fact that someone with leukemia can need up to 8 units of blood a week.
Or that donated blood lasts no longer than 42 days.
Or to help new moms and babies, like Henry.
There's lots of reasons to donate blood. That's why we need donors every day.
The need for blood is constant. Join Toyota and our Toyota dealers in supporting Canada's Lifeline.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall. Or you might sprain your wrist, or even fracture it. A severe wrist fracture can take at least 2 months to heal properly. And it can cause you to develop arthritis that keeps you from doing something as simple as picking up your child without pain. Slips, trips, and falls can have a lifetime impact. Take safer steps with WorksafeSask.ca.
This holiday season, wish your way at Capital GMC. Unwrap a completely customized vehicle ordering experience. Reserve a pre-ordered unit that's already on its way. Or get into a GM certified pre-owned vehicle that's on the lot and ready to roll. And don't forget, we pay big for your used vehicle, even if you don't buy from us. Plus, our service department is your winter headquarters. Get special pricing on name brand tires, storage, maintenance, and more. And we always offer free vehicle pickup and delivery. This holiday season, wish your way at Capital GMC.
Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
People donate blood for moments like this.
But there are lots of reasons why Canada's Lifeline needs donors every day.
Like the fact that someone with leukemia can need up to 8 units of blood a week.
Or that donated blood lasts no longer than 42 days.
Or to help new moms and babies, like Henry.
There's lots of reasons to donate blood. That's why we need donors every day.
The need for blood is constant. Join Toyota and our Toyota dealers in supporting Canada's Lifeline.
Hey, Matt, how's it going? We have something really special.
Holy, it's pretty impressive.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpedersenshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpedersenshop.com.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Darren Dupont, Justin Duncan here. Rod is officially on the Christmas vacation, though. He'll make a brief appearance back here on Friday for our World Junior Preview Show. I'm at my hometown in my high school gymnasium in Wynyard. They've been awesome. And tomorrow on the show, I'm going to show you all around this place. So that's going to be really neat. I'll even, maybe if you watch tomorrow, Justin, I'll show you my high school grad photo. How about that? It's on the wall. I found it down the hallway.
Let's see it, buddy. That's must-see TV.
I don't know if you saw Arash, but he was actually he was stunned but proud that you would actually admit to me that Arash beats you at tennis. So
facts are facts, man. I can't run from that. Honestly, for anyone out there that needs to know, I shouldn't say because his head will get bigger. Arash is really, really good at tennis, despite the physique that he carries around. Let's just say that.
How about that?
I don't have it either. The Milos Raonic bod. No, none of us are dealing with that at 6'5" and lean and okay. I got it. I got it. But hopefully a game with Arash at some point in the future. To the text line for Taco Time. Actually, we'll start with YouTube. Great job today, Dupes and Dunk. That's from Jeff Cabillas. Christine says, enjoy your day and the family, Darren. We'll see you tomorrow. Yes, we'll see you tomorrow here on the show as well. Ryan H. Says, great job as well. So I'm glad that you guys are enjoying the show. I know we had a viewer watching from England today. So hello, happy holidays. Trent was watching in Norway. So that was awesome to spend that time with everybody. But last piece of business, because I've had trouble with my NFL top 5 this week. I haven't put pen to paper on it. 3 of the teams in my top 5 lost. Who do you got?
Quickly, Green Bay number 1 because of Aaron Rodgers, obviously, but the running backs, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, and the fact they can get after the passer with Preston Smith, and Rashawn Gary. Dallas number 2 for much of the same reasons. Dak Prescott taking care of the football. They got the running backs there with Ezekiel Elliott, and of course the young up-and-comer there. His name's escaping me right now, Dupes. Who is it?
CeeDee Lamb.
The running back.
Oh, Pollard.
That's it, Tony Pollard. Boom. And Micah Parsons on the other side, and Trayvon Diggs got 10 picks. LA is number 3 for me. Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, obviously Jalen Ramsey. Tampa 4. I know Brady got shut out the other day, but he'll come back with a vengeance. And KC, I want to move them higher. They have the championship pedigree, but the defense worries me, buddy.
Yeah, Justin, appreciate this. Thanks for joining today. Merry Christmas, pal. Love you. Happy holidays. And we'll see you tomorrow right here on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Let's go beat up Dupont.
How about that? Spicy. Let's go. LFG. Bingo. Oh, no. Right on. Awesome. Approved. Hot take. Oh, no. Bob's your uncle. Hot take. I like it. Let's go. Right on. Awesome.